Hello all and welcome to Crochet Designs. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are working on this gorgeous little zipped purse. Very exciting. And the actual project itself was decided upon by myself. However, during one of our live antics that we usually have on Saturday mornings, it's only on Saturday mornings are live antics, even though we have 2 lives a week, we do a live antic Saturday morning, and what we do is I usually pop some yarn down on a table and say, right, face the camera down and say, right, one of our subscribers who are on our live can choose a colour combination. And this is one of them, and many of them are, here's some right there. Look at these are the ones we've been doing. Check them out. Are they not gorgeous? One by one, they're all coming up. Hello. I don't even know if I've got them all there, but there you go. They are some of our projects that we've created through our live antics. But in this particular one, this zip itself was placed on the table with all different colours, and one of our subscribers got to choose the colour combination of the zip. And so that lovely subscriber was a beautiful Mary Wanamaker, and she chose this colour green. I didn't have the colour yarn in stock, so I had to go out and purchase it, which doesn't matter because now I have, ta-da, an extra lot of 4-ply cotton, and I have quite a few of these zips, so there you go. I can make a few and pop them on a market stall somewhere. So it's a little bit of a gift idea for a market stall. And something sounds very loud. We'll have to deal with that in a minute. In the meantime, what did I use? I used a 4-ply cotton. This is from Maker, from our Lincraft store, one of our larger chains here in Melbourne, Australia. Now, a 4-ply is like a number 2 weight or a lightweight yarn, or a lightweight yarn. It's quite thin. It's not extremely thin, but it's thinner than your DK weight or your 8-ply, all right? And I use 20 grams only here. I'm lying, I use 19 grams, but I'm saying 20 just for the sake of saying it. Now, this is a 100-gram skein. So the meterage here is 330 meters per skein. And if I only used less than a quarter, what is that? Half of 330 is 100, and I've got to use maths here, 115. It was like, what, 50 meters or something? I don't know. I didn't use much at all. 20 grams is nothing. All right. And what else will you need? You will need... we'll need... hello. You will need a pair of scissors. And you will need a darning needle. I had to pretend like I put that in there because it was going to come out through the hole. So I had to pretend. Don't put sewing needles in your bag, guys. And you will need, and now let me talk to you about, I still haven't weaved in a couple of these ends. You don't know that. You will need a gazillion stitch markers. No, 1 stitch marker and a gazillion set of hooks. Now let me talk to you about the hooks. You don't need all those hooks. I'm going to zip this up and pretend like you didn't see that. Those ends. All right. You will need a... you love it or what? You will need... It asks you to have a... where is it? I just went around twice there. It says a 3.25 millimeter hook. Yours truly used a 3.5. The only reason I used that was because I didn't have a 3.25 handy. And I just looked across the table, saw the 3.5. How do you like that? And used this one. And it hasn't done much difference, really. The 3.25 would, if you have one in stock, will make yours a lot smaller. Now, if you want to know the measurements of this, I have left them up there right now, and they are also in the description box down below. The 3.5 millimeter hook did not do anything different. It made it a tiny little bit bigger here, and I managed to do less rows or less rounds, if you will, because it was a lot thicker. All right, but I think it's okay. I love it. And the other thing you will need now, I showed you, I think, in the tutorial, I don't know if I'm going to cut it out or not, but you will need these 3 hooks. You don't need all 3 of them, right? What I did was I tried, which one's which? Oh, yes, this one here. I tried these hooks in the zip. Now, you're going to be sewing, let's try crocheting into the zip with the hook, right? I tried the 2.5 and it did not fit. Not mine. It could, but it didn't. It could if you really forced it. The 2 millimeter hook just got into that zip, and I found it a little bit too thick. Then this has got a cover on it because this can be very dangerous. Right? It can really hurt you. It can actually hurt your hand, right? And this was A and still is A. I think it looks like it would have been a 1.5 and the 1 has come off. I said a 0.5 millimeter hook, but that's not pointy enough for a 0.5. Like, I'm not finding any damage doing, any damage to my skin. So I'm starting to think, oops, upside down, starting to think it was a 1.5 millimeter hook. It doesn't matter. All you need is a hook to get into your zip. Okay, whatever size hook you have, it's got to be able to go through the zip, not into the yarn that I just put it through. All right, and that's it, guys. That's all you really need. Once you do this row on the zip, the hardest part is this row. Crocheting the rest of it, it's very easy. We are using what we call the Houndstooth stitch. And a little bit more difficult part would be, sewing this bit down as well, which I'm sure you may have an easier way of doing it, but it looked really difficult when I was doing it. So there you go. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share. And a wonderful thank you to the beautiful Mary Wanamaker for her choice of zip colour for our project. Good luck all and enjoy. Alrighty guys, what we're going to do is start off by grabbing your zip. You can zip it up fully if you like. I've left mine down a bit because it's easier for me to pop my ruler there, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But firstly, we're going to talk about hooks and hook sizes. Okay, now let's start off with this one here. This one is an old one that I've had. All of these are old, right? This one is a 2 millimeter hook. Now I'm not sure how well that's going to go through your zip, but let's just try one. We'll just pop it through, and I just think it's way too thick. Now it depends on your zip. Oh, look at that. That's way too difficult. All right, so maybe the 2's a little too big, but if you don't have anything smaller than that, by all means use your 2. The next one I have here is a 2.5 millimeter hook. Now if that one struggled to get in, this one might struggle as well. But if you look at the tip of this one and the tip of that one there, even though it's smaller, this is slender. It's a weird feeling. It's kind of slender there, and this is kind of pointy, outy, square there. Now I don't know what that means, if it's a different kind of hook, but we'll try it. No, this is not going to work. So really a 2.5, I think it was, is, whoops, I'm not even in frame. A 2.5 is no good. So you could get away with the 2 at the moment. Now this one here, what? Have a look at this. Look at that. What? It looks pretty much like a 0.5 millimeter hook. And the way I know it is a 0.5 millimeter hook is because I've tried it. Watch this. All you do is pop your hook in and it slides in very simple. Yeah? Slides in very simple no matter where you put it on your work. Now this is going to make your cotton tug a little bit and split. So just do this part very slowly. Now you can see I've already made some markings on mine. Now the reason is I had a bit of a play with a piece of paper. Now there's 2 ways you can do this. One, you can just pop your hook all the way through your work and hope that it ends up nice and straight. Or you can grab a piece of paper. Now this is pretty much a 12 millimeter zip, right? So really you're starting from that little latch thing down there right up to here, and you can actually see it there. There's your 12 millimeter. I'm sorry, let's try 12 centimeter. Hello Mary, she'll wake up any minute now. So what I did was, and you can see it right there, I measured 12 centimeters across. I don't have one here at the moment. Mine's all scribbled on because I had to do it so many times. I just measured 12 centimeters across on a piece of paper. That's your first marking, and that's your second. And what I did was I calculated that across this 12 centimeters, I need to have 29 stitches. So that's already 2 stitches. So really I only need 27. So what I did was I divided it in half, divided it in sixes, divided in fives, divided in fours, until I came to 29. So if you want to know the exact measurement, you can do it any way you like. Now, if you want 31 stitches, or 35 stitches, or 37 stitches, or 41 stitches, then you can divide it your own way. If you want it the same as mine, all you need to know is every 4mm or every 4th millimeter, you're going to mark your zip. Now, again, you don't have to mark your zip. If you are confident enough to pop your hook in that first bit, make your stitch, go into the next, and in actual fact, I would say you could even go closer. Like you could go every 3rd centimetre and make more stitches. As long as you end up with an odd amount of stitches when you get to this section here. All right, so that's what we're going to do now. You don't have to if you don't want to, but if you want to, you can do exactly that. You can grab your ruler and measure every 4th millimeter across. I'm not going to be able to do it on here because I can't see what I'm doing from the top of here. But anyway, I'll do one and then I'll get you to head off on your own and you can do the rest. So let's get a nice close-up like that. I can see it's not too bad. And all you're doing is find your 4mm and mark it. Be careful not to mark it too much like I have, that you'll be able to see that all the way through. So go to that marking and then you do your 4mm. All right, that's why I said millimeters before. Sorry guys. So what you're going to do, I'm just going to rub out my cardboard. I've written all over my board. So what I want you to do is on every 4mm all the way across, get to 29, 31, whatever it is yours comes to. I believe 29. It should add up to be 29 little dots all the way across. Try and keep yours a little bit straight, not like mine. Mine are a little bit crooked. Mine's a little bit crooked, yeah, because you're going to put your hook directly into that stitch. I might pop mine a little bit higher now, all right? Once you've done one side, all you need to do for the other side is this. Okay, go like that. And all you need to do is that. Yeah, go to your next marking there and do that. Yeah, and your next marking and your next marking, your next marking. So that way you don't have to keep measuring it later. Oh, I've written all over the place here. Hello. She's making a mess. There you go. All right, so head off on your own. Do your every 4th millimeter, get to the end of the zip, and then grab your ruler and measure across and do the other side. And I'll meet you back here once you're done. Alrighty, guys. So as you can see, mine's an absolute mess. But we won't talk about that now, will we? We won't talk about it at all. All right, so where we want to start from, let's start from here. All right, and let's just bring this up a little bit. All right, so there's my very first dot. So we're going to pop our hook in that dot right there. I'm going to pop mine in a little higher because I've made a mess of my dots. So I'm going to pop it in a little bit higher, only because mine are really messy. Pop your thread over your loop, over your hook, sorry, and pull up a loop. It's a little bit tricky, but you know, it's only the very first stitch. No, they're all real tricky. This whole row is tricky. Actually, don't worry about pulling that forward. We'll lock that into place later. But in the meantime, let's just lift up our loop a little bit and pull a loop through, chaining 1. That's your very first stitch. Now, if you wanted to, you could just go closer and make more stitches, which makes your purse a lot better, like a lot stronger. But I'm just going to go into my 4th millimeter stitch right there, pull the loop through, and there's our second stitch. So right into your little drawn stitch. Now just being careful, this is really tricky, this part. Bring it up. I'm splitting the yarn, guys. Have a look at that. See that split? And that's going to happen when you're using a smaller hook than your thread, okay? Your yarn will tend to split. So pop your hook in, pull a loop through, yarn over, pull through 2. Fairly tricky. And again, in, pull a loop through, yarn over, pull through 2. All right, I'm not going to let you sit here and watch me do this because that's going to take forever. But being careful not to pull really tight like I did with the first stitch. Yeah, we want to keep it loose enough so that it doesn't bend your zip in like that. Yeah. All right, so single crochet in every one of your grey lead stitches until you get to your very last stitch, and I'll meet you there once you're done. Alrighty guys, what you should have is that. And you should have right up here your 29th stitch. How you count your stitches, let's get a nice close up. Alright, you count them by counting these little V's that you see here. So from here, there's your first V. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28 and 29. That last one has stretched just that little bit, only because I'm not doing anything with it. All right, so from here we're going to chain our 1, 2, 3, and 4. Bring your work across, I'll bring that zip down again. Bring your work across and pop your hook in your very first pencil marking and doing a normal single crochet. Now this is going to pull a little bit and you don't want it to pull so much, so really straighten it up a little. And oh, my yarn is split, don't you love it? It's because, like I said before, when you're using a small hook, your yarn will split, and mine has. Here we go. And just complete your single crochet like so. So your chains should kind of sit across your piece like that. If it's pulling too tight, maybe take it undone and loosen those chains up. I'm going to leave it that way because later when we're ready to close it all up, you want it to be nice and tight. You don't want it too loose, yeah? So I'm going to leave it like that. And then once again, all you're doing is finding every little chain, every little grey lead across and doing your single crochets. All right, and that's it for this side here. I'm trying not to split the yarn, and I am splitting it. And there you go. I'm not going to let you watch me because I really struggled before with splitting of yarn. So what I want you to do, is pop a single crochet in every one of your grey lead markings. Hopefully yours aren't as dark and as crooked as mine. Get to your very last marking and I'll meet you there once you're done. Alrighty guys, we've done 29 this way, chained 4, and now we've done 29 this way. Make sure you count your stitches. Alright. I counted mine off air. I'm not going to go ahead and do that again for you. So there we go. Now from here, we're going to do exactly what we did here. We're going to chain 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now what we're going to do is slip stitch into the very first single crochet that we did here. Now get excited guys, because this part here we get to change hooks and it gets a lot easier. So get excited. All right, so slip stitch into the very first stitch you come to, pull the loop through and pull it through to the loop on your hook. Take out this tiny little hook that was driving me bananas and pop in your 3.5. Now, if you have a 3.25 millimeter hook like the cotton suggests, my opinion would be to use your 3.25 millimeter hook, and you can probably do an extra couple of rows, yeah? But in the meantime, I'm not going to. I'm just going to chain 1 and single crochet into the same stitch. Now, just being wary now because we are going to count 29 single crochets across that way, 4 across there, 29 across here, and then another 4 across there. So that's your first single crochet. What I want you to do is pop a stitch marker in there like so. And a single crochet into your next stitch, and where we are going exactly is in those 2 loops right there, top 2 loops, the V if you will. pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. Straight into that very next stitch there, pull a loop through, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2. You've got 1, 2, 3 single crochets. Off you go doing your 29 single crochets across. I don't think you need to watch me doing this. I think you can head off on your own. Yeah. Do all of your single crochets, get to your 29th stitch right here, and I'll meet you there once you're done. Alrighty guys, what you should have is 29 single crochets across that way, and you should be up to these chains right here. Now what we're going to do is do a single crochet over these chains, actually 4 single crochets over these chains. So pull everything down. I don't know if you can just like tug it down with your fingers there at the back, hold on to the zip there, and then just single crochet around your chains like so. 1, and do it again. It's a bit awkward. 2, and again 3, one more time, 4. All right, now we need to get into the very first single crochet, which is right there. It looks like it's here, but it's actually right there. Make sure you get into that stitch or you'll be 1 short. So 1, and then off you go doing the side. 2, 3, 4, and so on. All right, so head off on your own, do the rest of this side, get to your very last stitch right here, and I'll meet you there once you're done. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of this side. Here we go. All right, so you did your very last single crochet in your last single crochet, and now across here you need to do 4 single crochets in that chain space again. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then what you're going to do, slip stitch into the top of the stitch with your stitch marker. Take out your stitch marker like so. Pull the loop through and pull it through to the loop on your hook, tightening it up. Chain 1 single crochet in the same stitch, once again popping a stitch marker in it like so. Okay, because we're working in the rounds, you kind of need to know where we're going. All right, your very next stitch is going to be a double crochet, and that is yarn over your hook straight into the next V, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the last 2. All right, and your next stitch is going to be a single crochet. So single in your next, you know how to do that. And then a double in your next. Single in your next. Double in your next. Getting the picture here? Single, double, yeah? Single in your next. Double in your next. And so on all the way across the row. Now what I'm going to do, double, is go across to the side, and when we get to this section here, I'll stop, but I'll just pop it on fast for you, and we'll meet at the end of this side where the zipper part is. All right, your next stitch is a single crochet, and off we go. Alrighty, I'm up to my single right here, and when you get to these stitches, just like you do the normal side, you're doing it the same. Now I just did a single, yes, double, single, yes. Now I'm doing a double. So you're just going through those stitches. All right, and then you do your single, double. Whoops, nearly did 2 doubles there. And single and double. Easy. So what we have is a continuation of this side here. All right, so what I want you to do is continue this whole side, get to your very last stitch. Now if we started with a single crochet, you should end up with a double right here. All right, so head off on your own, finish your side, get to this stitch right here, and I'll meet you there once you're done. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of this side right here, and I have one last stitch to do right there, and that is a double crochet. Hopefully you ended up with a double crochet, but here's a little trivia. I made a mistake around here somewhere, skipped a stitch. I did take all mine undone. Just a bit of trivia there. All right, so at the end of the round, you should have filled in that last stitch. This is your slip stitch, so don't look at that. Now we're going to slip stitch right into the stitch with the stitch marker. Now that was your repeat row. That's the first repeat row, sorry. This is going to be the second repeat row, all right? So whenever you start a row with a single crochet in the row before, the next row needs to be a double. Just chain one, tighten it up and do your double crochet in the same stitch like that. And then pop your stitch marker in there like so. All right, and in the next round when you come back you start with a single, but for now we're starting with a double, right? And in every stitch that you had a double in it, you're putting a single, and in every stitch that you had a single in it, you're putting a double. So your very next stitch is a double. We're going to pop a single crochet, and then in your next stitch, which was a single, we're going to pop a double crochet. All right, so do you get the picture? Single, double, exactly the same as what you did before, except we're doing them on top of the opposite stitch. All right, so keep doing your stitches all the way through. Do your single, double, single, double, single, double. Get to your very last stitch. Now, if you did your count right, you should have 66 stitches. But when you get to your very last stitch, because we started with a double, you should end with a single. All right, so head off on your own, do that round, meet me right here, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, how gorgeous is this stitch looking? I love, love, love. All right, so here I am at the end of the round, and I'm finishing off with a single crochet like I said would happen, and then you're slip stitching into your double. All right, now the past 2 rows that we did are actually repeat rows. I'm sorry, let's call them rounds. They're not rows, they're rounds. All right, so chain 1. Now remember that was a double crochet. We're so far away. Remember that was a double crochet before. We're going to do a single crochet in there like so. Pop our stitch marker in and get excited because we're going to have some instructions on what to do next. And while I'm doing the instructions, I'm going to pop a stitch marker in this loop. So if I pull the tail, it's not going to go anywhere and no one can take it undone. All right, so what you have is that initially, once we continue our rows and we get down to the 10th row, the 15th row, whatever, this will end up like that. All right, so your job now is just to continue those 2 rows that we just did over and over and over again until you get to your desired length. All right, so you're probably thinking, how many rounds is that? Well, that's entirely up to you. So long as you're completing your 2 rounds, round 1 and round 2, over and over again, you can't go wrong. Not round 1 and round 2. It's not exactly, it's round 2 and round 3, over and over again until you get to whatever desired length you want. And the rounds I'm going to do are 13 more rounds. All right, so do all the rounds that you want for the size that you want. Now if you're unsure about the rounds and you don't want to do the same amount of rounds that I do, just grab your measuring tape or your ruler like this and turn it down that way. Now we've done 2 rounds of your stitch. So 2 rounds of your stitch, there's your starting round and there's your single crochet round, and that's your 2 rounds right there. I have it in frame, is roughly 1 centimetre for the 2 rounds, or almost a centimetre. So what you want to do is literally just pop your ruler like that, or your measuring tape from there to there, say 10 centimetres, 8 centimetres, 5. You can have a really small one. It's entirely up to you. All right, so just keep going in the rounds that suit you, and I will meet you back here on the final round. And I realised you actually don't even have to finish on the 3rd round. You know how we did the second, third, second, third, second, third? You can finish on any round. It doesn't matter. That is the benefit of this stitch. I love this stitch. Too exciting and too easy. All right, once you get to the end of your rounds, you'll notice that this will tighten up. It's a little bit loose right now, but that will tighten up because we're just going in the round over and over and over again, and it will kind of tighten up and come down this way. Alrighty guys, so what I want you to do right now, continue rounds 2 and 3 until you get to the 15th round, and I will meet you back here and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, now I've completed my 13 rounds. Altogether that's actually 15 rounds, alright? That's including the first 2 we did. So we are now up to, oh actually, you know what? Just grab your measuring tape first and make sure you're happy with the length. Now my length from the top of the zip down is roughly 9.5 centimeters, or almost 4 inches, almost, not exactly. Once we do our single crochet row and then we sew that together or whip stitch it together, then you'll have your 10 centimeters or your 4 inches. Now that doesn't have to be that measurement. If you want yours to be bigger, by all means, go for the bigger. If you want yours to be smaller, take undone a few rows, yeah? So there's no exact measurement for this. That's just a rough idea of what mine looks like, all right? So I ended up on, it doesn't matter what row we end up, it doesn't matter what round I should say we end up. Just getting your last stitch in there, taking out your stitch marker. Get excited guys, this is the last round. Pull the loop through, pull it through to the loop you are in. Chain 1, or on your hook I should say, single crochet in the same stitch there. Pop your stitch marker in there. Keep saying A as if we haven't done it yet. This is the first time we're doing it. No, I don't think so, Mary. And single crochet in every stitch you come to. Single, 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 and so on, all the way across the round. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop this on fast for you, and we're all just going to get to the end of the round, and I'll meet you there once we're done. All right, and off we go. Oh, we're here. Oh, I just got crochet happy and forgot where I was. And there you go. So it's single crochet in your very last stitch there. And what you're going to do is slip stitch in the tight stitch. Slip stitch in that tight stitch right there, which shouldn't be tight but is. slip stitch into there like so, pull up a loop. Don't cut it yet. What I want you to do, I'm not going to do it because I know mine is correct, but I want you to check everything. Make sure everything is perfectly correct, or as correct as you want it to be, yeah? And then make sure your single crochets match the same amount of rows you had, which I believe was 66. I meant stitches, by the way, 66 stitches. But it doesn't matter at this stage because look at that. It looks perfect anyway, or perfect enough. Now, there are many ways you can do the bottom bit. You can sew the bottom bit together with a sewing, darning, weaving needle, that kind of thing. There you go. Or you can just slip stitch it through with your crochet hook. Now, I'm actually tempted to do just that. So what I want you to do, this is the right side of our work now, yeah? What we want to do is pop it through to the wrong side of our work, like that, yeah? Now, flatten it out nice and straight, or as straight as you want it to go. Flip it, grab your thread, wherever that may be, which is there. And we'll get a nice close-up in a minute so you can see what I'm doing here. All right, so the actual thread itself is not exactly centered, which is where we want it to be. See that loop right there? We're just going to go into the stitch on the opposite side, right? Now, if you look carefully, your thread is here. There's one stitch there. We're going into that third stitch. So it's 1, 2, and into the third one. And if you're not sure, just have a look at the top, the very, very top of your work. You should have one V, and in that second V right there, which is actually the third stitch, even though it's a second V. And what you're going to do is pull that thread through that stitch. So pop your hook in that stitch right there. Take out the stitch marker. Grab your thread. If I can get it, there we go. And just pull that loop through like so, yeah? Then you're popping into the very next stitch, and the very next stitch on the opposite side, you're going through the whole stitch. So both the loops, pull a loop through and pull it through to the loop on your hook. Into your next stitch, pull a loop through. Whoops, don't lose it like I just did. She's very naughty, isn't she? She's very, very naughty. Shh, don't tell them. All right, and pull the loop through like so. Now, this might take you a little while. There's no rush to get through it, you know, because in about 5 minutes' time, maybe 10 maximum, you will be finished your purse. We're going to make sure we sew these down. I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute, okay? But in the meantime, what I would like for you to do is exactly this, all right? So head off on your own. Continue doing that slip stitching all the way through until you get to maybe your last 3 stitches. Well, you'll know when you get there. It kind of sits like that. So you'll know when you get there that it'll be around there, or roughly as close as you can get it, and I'll show you how to finish your last bit. All right, so head off on your own. Do your slip stitching all the way across. But before you do, guys, just quickly letting you know, you need to open up your zip. Otherwise, you're not going to get it open later. So open up your zip and then continue. Oh, you probably could if you used a needle or something. Continue along the side, get to this little stitch marker right here, and I'll meet you back once you're done. Alrighty, guys. It kind of gets a little awkward towards the end, doesn't it? And I found myself actually not putting my fingers in there. I found myself just trying to slip stitch into the 2 loops on that side and the 2 loops on that side, which it got a little tricky towards the end finding those 2 loops. Yeah, so let's pull that loop through. Let's take out the stitch marker. You don't need it there anymore. And what you should have is that loop right there and that loop there. There. Now you kind of have a little tiny gap there. I would take the risk in filling it up if you want. You don't need to. It's not necessary. We really didn't fill it up on that end much either. We kind of did because we were in the other stitch on the other side there. So that kind of worked. Sorry, I'm a bit out of frame there. I'll try that again. so you can see what I'm doing. Just try and get into all of that. Got 2 loops on the bottom, on the top, and your the rest of your stitch on the bottom. Now all you need to do is pull up a loop. Now as you can see, I pulled up a nice long tail, not necessary. Give it a cut, pull it through, and pull that loop through. Now if you don't like the idea of having a tiny, you can't even notice it, little tiny gap there, you can't even notice it. You can sew this in a few times in the corner, and you can get a piece of thread and sew it in. But I wouldn't worry about it because nothing's coming out of this baby. Nothing's coming out. Unless, of course, you pop in a sewing needle. That might come out because, you know, crochet is crochet. Have a look. There's little gaps everywhere. Your sewing needle might come out. They're tiny little gaps. All right. So what you do with this, sorry, guys, thread your needle. What you do here. If you want to, let's just do it for fun. I'm just going to go in there just for fun. Let's get a nice close-up. I'll try that again. In there just for fun, which is those 2 loops. You can't even see it. There's no real hole. In fact, the holes next to it are bigger, so it doesn't matter. We'll do it anyway. And then you're going to weave your thread in and out of your stitches, kind of on the inside of your purse. Now, it doesn't really matter because it's at the base of your purse and no one's going to see it, but try and keep as inside as you possibly can, pulling your loop through like that. Yeah, you can go a bit further if you like. I might. Why not? More the merrier. Yeah, you go one way, oops, don't pull it so tight, then flip your work and go back the other way, kind of in a different direction, maybe in a different stitch. I'd actually go right across into that stitch on the opposite side just for fun. Yeah, and then you are going back through these stitches on this side. Now that's just pulling because I pulled a loop there. Don't worry about that. It's on the inside and no one's going to see it. But there you go. And one more time, you can go any way you like or in any direction. I'm just going to go back on, oh no, we'll go over here. There's a little bit less stitches here. There you go. Just pulling right through. And that's it. 3 is plenty, 3 times. Give it a cut. Won't come undone because it's inside your bag. That's not going to come undone. Yes. All right. So what you have is that. You can have a look at that, but keep this side because we're going to work on this side in a minute. But let's just have a look and make sure that you are happy with it. If you're not happy with it, you probably should have checked before you weave that end in. But if you're not happy with it, you would need to have taken that undone. But it seems all right to me. All right. So we still have one more job to do and then we are done, guys. Get excited. Well, almost. Almost done. Now what we have is this, all of this. Now a lot of people don't do this part. They leave all that loose. And when you go, let me do it so you understand. When you go to zip up your purse, say you zip it up, you go like that. Sometimes this comes out. And look at that, it's sticking out already. You don't want that. You want it to look nice and professional. So we're going to turn it back inside out yet again. Yes. And then we're going to sew those pieces down. Now I'm going to do this side first. So just grab a piece of thread. Now the length of the thread, well, let's see, it doesn't really matter. If you have a look, I don't know, maybe the length of the bag just for fun, just to give yourself some length. Yeah, give it a cut. See, I just went right around, gave myself some length. Oh, a length plus a little bit of tail. So give yourself a length and tail. Now, I would start by first trying to work out where you want the front end of your little pieces to go. Now, my idea would be to keep it closed like that and to bring both these ends down. It's downward into your work like that. All right, don't pull too tight or this is going to happen. And when you go to zip up, you're going to have a massive curve. All right, so my theory would be to just gently flip it down. Yeah, grabbing your tail. Now what you're doing here, your needle, sorry, you are actually, let's get a nice close up there. You are going into your thread like that. Not so it's visible here. You don't want to see that needle, yeah? You're just going in one thread, pull it through, and leave yourself some tail to weave in later. Don't pull that any tight because this is not knotted. We're only going to weave it in. Then you're just going to find somewhere on your zip to start off your sewing attachment there. All right. And then you're going over here to this side, finding a little piece of thread, not a lot, just a little piece like that. What have I done here? That tail belongs down. Yes. And then you are going again, once again, if I can get in there, be careful, there's a little bit of a zip thickness there, in through there. And once again, you're doing it again. It doesn't have to be overdone, so long as it's done enough that you can't, it doesn't stick up and you can't see the thread from the front of your work. Once you get to the top, oh, that was a bit of a knot there. You can, if you like, go back down in another stitch or the same stitch. It doesn't really matter. But don't go through like that where the whole needle is showing in the front, yeah? All right, so you can go down, and if you find when you get down there's a little bit sticking up, which will, you're going to go across the front. Once you get to the bottom, we just went through some thickness there, you're going across the front. Down to the bottom. That's actually the first stitch I worked into, by the way. And then back into the zip. Yep. Don't pull so tight like I just did. Just have a look and make sure everything's looking okay, and it is, so that's good. So we're going to go back down into one of the stitches down here somewhere, right there. Notice how I'm happy to just split that yarn a bit, but not let it be visible from the front. Yep. And that's that. Now, I'm going to keep going all the way up. Not necessary for you to do that, but I'm a little bit pedantic when it comes to weaving in ends. I really am. It's always been a thing with me, and everybody on the channel knows it. My regulars do anyway. If you're joining us new, welcome. I hope you're enjoying making your little bag or your little purse or whatever you want to call it. It's a lot of fun. And I'm just going to go up the top and just through one of the stitches there, like so. Turn it around, and now, because it's all sewn up, just weave in some ends somewhere, anywhere you like. Weave it in, going down, across. It doesn't matter, yeah? It doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong way of doing this part of it. Except don't do that. Don't do that. Hello, Mary, you had one job. Weave in the end. All right, so just weaving in your ends. That is not going to come undone because you've gone around once, and now you're going through the ends as well. But I'm going to go up just for fun. You don't have to. There. Now I'm just going to cut mine because that's weaved in plenty. And then we're going to do the other side. All right, you're going to do that bit right there. Once you're done and you turn it through the other way, we're very close up now, and you wanted to zip that up. Have a look at that. That part of your zip is hidden. Now we're going to finish the other side right here. If you find that a little bit too loose for your liking, just pull your zip right over there and then start weaving in your zip from there to there. If you find it too loose, pull it over a little bit, okay, and then start weaving. I'm going to do real quickly, and this has still got a very long end on it. Don't forget we have to weave this end in when you're ready, but in the meantime I'm just going to start you off on the same side again, and you're going to do the other side by yourselves. I think you can manage that. The other side will be a lot easier to do because it's a lot tighter on that end, so it'll be a lot easier to do, and you're just going up and down. We'll talk about that in a minute. But for this one here, a lot of people do tend to sew that right up to there, which is fine. You know, you can do that too. In fact, we might just pull it right over as close as we can. It will tighten up your zip a little bit, yeah, but still it's better than having it loose. So again, find a piece of thread. Oh, we're so far away. Hello. find a piece of thread around, let's see, we want to get as close to here as we can. So we'll just go like here. If I can find a piece of thread. And there we go, we're in. All right, so that's, leave yourself a little tail as long as it's long enough to get worked over. Yep. Notice how I keep straightening that up a little bit. You don't want it to, you leave it too like that, you'll have a big gap there. You don't want to. So bring it up a little bit and move it over a little tiny bit. Yeah. This is the awkward part, guys. But don't worry, once it's done, it does look nice, trust me. She says as she's thinking, what on earth am I doing? No, it's not true. I know what I'm doing. I've done these before. It's been many years since I've done one. It's been a lot of years. I did these, oh, wow. Well, I didn't do a lot of them, but I did them when I was much younger. We're talking way into my early 20s. Like, I've been 29 for years, as you all know, right? And I did these in my early 20s. So it's a very, very long time ago. And there we go. All right. Oh, is that too close now? Sorry, guys. So take your time. There's no rush to get this done. And I'm struggling with this because there's something like it's really tight in there, in that zip part. Yeah. All right. Now you just go back in the other direction. So I'm just going to go into that little piece right there because it's sticking out. Why not? Yeah. And then I'm just going to go as deep down as I can go here because we want to come around this way. All right, so there we go. We're going to pop that there in there like so. Oops, that was a bit loose. I just wanted to come around that stitch there. That's why I did that. Okay, nearly done, guys. Get excited. Get excited. Okay, this is the longest part. The rest of the purse wasn't that hard, was it? It's just that I'm so fussy in weaving in ends, and my subscribers already know that, my regulars. So for those of you joining us new, I am very, oh, that looked like that went through. No, that's okay. I'm very, very fussy. I don't like weaving in the ends, but I'm extremely fussy. So what I'm going to do now is just come back down here a little bit and start weaving in this end here. And then whatever ends I have left, I will weave in as well. All right, let's go back into that direction there just for fun. I don't want to go too far deep, otherwise it'll be showing. All right, so give your little piece a cut. Just turn this in the right way and zip it up so you can see what it looks like. And you'll know what I mean by not sticking out anymore. So let's just fix it all up first. Pull that through, and there you go. All right, so that, which one did I do? Here. So now no matter what happens, no matter how rough I am, that is not going to stick out. It's stuck down in there. Don't forget we need to weave those two ends in as well. All right, a lot of people actually sew a little bit up this way as well, but I don't. I leave it open. It's okay. Plus it gives you more space to fit whatever you need in there. Oh, look at that. What? What did I just put in there? I don't want to put those scissors in there because I don't want it to cut my work, she says. Oh, now I'm going to get everything out. Ah. All right, so that's that. Now let's turn it back in that way. I may have to cut a bit more yarn. That's not a lot. Okay. You can use as much as you like. You don't need a lot for this part, but you know, look at me. I always cut way too much. I always cut way too much. All right. So let's thread our little needle. Don't forget, you still need to weave in these two ends on this side, guys, because they are not knotted. They need to be weaved in, yeah? I just want to get you started on this side here. All right, so this side's a lot easier because it's got the bottom of the zip that's closed. And like I said, once again, many people close that zip before they do it, but I didn't bother. I like it opened and lots of space. It's all right for this to be closed. You need a section that's quite tight. So all you're doing is grabbing both the ends and you're straightening them down that way. All right. Now I know a lot of people don't do this. Now before we do anything, make sure the zip can come out first a little bit. We don't want to crochet sew over the zip. Okay, so bring that down. Let's start from the top. I think that'll be so much better. Just pop that thread at the back. Oh, it's really hard to start from the top. All right, we'll start from this side here. Okay, let's start from here. And right there, just pop your needle through. I've got it through some thread in, through some, just can't get it right. Through some thread in there and through the zip, like so. And don't get it all knotted up like I just did. Leaving yourself a long tail for weaving in later. And then you are slowly going down the way. So find some thread, anywhere you like. Whoops, like that. And into the zip. Facing, it's actually called a zip facing. And then over into the thread again down the bottom somewhere. Back into the zip. We're turning a corner now. And now we're going to go along the bottom there. Okay, into a thread and into a zip. Make sure you get this zip. If you find it's cut, like that was a little bit ripped in there, make sure you find a part where it's not ripped. Yeah. Into a little thread. And into the zip. Now if you wanted to, which a lot of people do, is that they sew this down in here, which I'm going to just do one piece now, one there and just one more. So it's going right into that bit of thread there, like so. It's knotted. And then back into the zip. This might seem a little fiddly, guys, and it's taking a long time, but that's just me being fussy. If you know another way to attach your zip, by all means, use that way. That was a bit hard, that. I'm struggling to work on that. It would have been better if you had some sewing thread rather than your crochet thread. Okay, now we're going to attach this side. Okay, so what you're going to do is just go back into some thread here. Yep. And then you're going up into this side of the zip. Yeah. Into some thread down there. Oh, am I in frame? Sorry, guys. It's always this part that I never seem to be in frame. All right, there we go. One more. Well, one more down this end. And then, oh, that was a bit crooked, that one there. Be careful, she says. She's not going to fix it. All right, and then you're going across the bottom or the base of your work. Back into the corner there. Turning the side. So now you're going to work along the side, and once you've done this side, you are done with sewing in your little zip section. All right, it's super duper exciting because it's done. You thought I was going to say easy, weren't you? It's not easy, this part. I'm not going to brag and tell you this part's easy because it's not. Hey, I'm not going to lie to you. You guys know I tell the truth in that area. If you're going to have trouble, this is the area to have trouble in. All right, I think I'm done. I'll do one more. That's it. That's it. Right there. Now what I'm going to do is weave in somewhere. I'm just going to go, I don't know, across this way. There's no right or wrong answer, right or wrong way of doing this. I'm just going to weave across that way. It's probably too much. Like I left a bit of a long gap there, but it doesn't really matter as long as you weave your end in properly. That's it. I covered that end. And let's go back in another direction, different area, so that it doesn't come undone. Right there. Cut your thread. And guys, don't forget to weave in all your other ends. In the meantime, I'm going to turn this through like that. let's pretend like I've done all my ends because I'm such a genius like that. I'm so quick. You didn't even see me do it. And there you go. And there is your little purse. Again, if you want, you could actually sew that a little bit in. If you wanted to tighten that up, I'm not going to bother. It's fine. Right there. It's fine like that. Okay. Now, it's up to you. I would wash and block mine, which I usually do anyway. So before you see it on the live on Saturday morning, it will be washed and blocked. So yes, that's right, guys. We have lives at 10 a.m. Saturday mornings, Melbourne, Australia time, and 4 p.m. Wednesday afternoon, Melbourne, Australia time. So if you get that opportunity to join us on the lives, then you will have a choice of the next color combination, not zip one, but the next color combination of our very next project. Now that's not happening this Saturday. We need at least another 2 Saturdays before we catch up on all our projects. But in 2 weeks' time, Live Antics will be back, roaring and ready to go for you guys to choose your color combination. Thank you very much to everyone who watched today, and a beautiful, wonderful thank you to our lovely Mary Wanamaker for her choice of zip. Thank you so much for watching, and ciao for now.